I started this channel because I was tired of seeing all these perfect homes with all these perfect people and with already clean homes and all the stuff. And I just wanted to see somebody with a real home who was more similar to me, who struggled like I do. And in today's video, I just want to express that's why I started this channel. Not because I just love cleaning, but because I do like to watch cleaning channels. But in all the videos, everyone's home is perfect. And I just want to be able to give you somebody that is not perfect with no perfect home. If you're like me, come join me today and let's get my home clean together. So I just want to give you a poor person's cleaning and decluttering and organizing. Social media has us all convinced that if we don't have all the throw pillows and all the holiday decorations every year, then we're not doing something right. Look at me and all my decorations. Look at me and my big house. And I can't relate to all those things. So I wanted to give you somebody that I can relate to, and hopefully you can too. Let's not buy into the stereotypical have to have all of this, and let's just clean our home. But for my mental health, let's get my house clean. So today I am getting rid of all the leftovers, and I typically like to start in the kitchen just because when the kitchen is clean, it just feels so much better and it feels like you can start your day. But I also going into the kids' rooms, and it is a disaster in their rooms, and we will be cleaning in there. So I'm going in Jackson and Kellen's rooms. They share a room, and cleaning up and playing the game of is it clean or not clean, and sniffing everything. So that's always fun. Then we go into Lana's room. She's 3, and we do a whole bunch of cleaning up toys and then a tad bit of decluttering that I will end up getting rid of. I just put it into the closet at first to make sure there's nothing that she ends up wanting afterwards. So, and then we head into my fourth kid's room, and he's my oldest, my 13-year-old, and we don't do a lot in there because he's a little neat freak like I am. He keeps it pretty immaculate in his room. But, we have a little bet going, because it's kind of funny because he spent his birthday money on a new monitor, for his computer, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, you can buy a new monitor for your computer." But I was like and then so he was explaining why he wants this monitor, and I was like, "Okay." So, I was like, "I understand, but it is not bigger than one you already have." And, he was like, "Yes, it is." And, teenagers, he's gotten to where he kinda argues me on everything, and he absolutely thinks he's right about everything. So, I was like, "Okay, we'll see." So, here in a little bit at the very end, if you wanna wait and find out if I was right or if he was right, hang tight for the very end, and, we'll see who was right. So, lots of fun things going today. So, one thing we do differently when you struggle maybe financially, and I know we struggle in a lot of different ways, but I feel like that's pretty normal for Americans and people in general nowadays, but is buying fruits. We don't always buy fruit because sometimes we have to, manage our money, and fruit doesn't really fill you. So we tend to buy meals and things that you can fill the belly more. Don't get me wrong, we don't struggle too bad, but we live paycheck to paycheck. So it's kind of one of those things you have to always figure out what can you buy to make sure you definitely get your hearty meals in. And yes, fruits is good for you, but sometimes, that's just how life is. You have to decide whether you can buy fruit or not. Uh, so look how cute Lotta is with this kitty. Aw, so precious. So, yeah, it's just things like that, and we also live in about a 1,300 square foot, which is really funny because people have been talking about, um, that our house looks really, really big, and and I'm like, "Well, it must be a trick to the eye because it is really, really not that big." And it could be because I keep it pretty empty and don't have a lot of decorations. So, most of these huge houses that I watch, and I don't get me wrong, I love their channels, but it sometimes just feels so unrelatable. Like I just cannot relate to their home or them. They just don't feel normal or average. They seem like they have all the money in the world to buy all these gadgets and things and new cleaners and new things. And I've tried a few things when we had the money to try it. And I'm like, "Ugh, well, that really wasn't worth it." If you've thought about starting your own channel and you have a small house, do it. I feel like we should support each other and start making the internet more about average people with average homes and real life with real kids and real families who struggle with finances, who struggle with cleaning, who just struggle with mental health because I struggle with all of these things, and I'm not here to throw any kind of pity party. That is not what I'm trying to do. I want to make it where it is something that is average. I want to change it to where we're not just seeing only big houses with attics and basements when there's all these different floors and each part of their home looks so perfect. And my point on this channel is to show you that we don't live in a perfect house. We don't live and we can't afford a lot of different things. We have to really plan for expenses. If a car breaks right now, we're screwed. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that. So I want to make it a normal thing though, so that you and I do not feel alone in our struggles. Let's talk about these things and let's make these things normal so that none of us are feeling alone in this world. Let's join together and be friends and let's tackle our lives and our struggles together. This mobile home, yes, I love it. It is probably one of the nicest places I've lived in ever in my life because growing up, I had a single mom and we struggled more so than me and my kids struggle. We struggle, but it is not to the same extent that I struggled as a child. So I guess I'll get into a little bit of my childhood. I have before in previous videos, but I will again just for the new people. My childhood was very, very hard and traumatic. And yes, being poor was hard, but that wasn't the hardest part. Uh, so I grew up with an abusive father and a mother who was very, very depressed and struggled financially. And of course, that can take a huge toll. But we have been very, very lucky that we have not had an abusive husband or father. So that dynamic has not been the case for my kids. Thank God. We went through a lot growing up. We were in and out of homes constantly because, well, we had no money. And when we were really young, we were running and fleeing from my stepfather. So I didn't get an education like I should have because he would find us and then we would move again. And then so he was very abusive. And when we weren't fleeing him, we were in a women's shelter and we were in and out of women's shelters a lot for abused women. And then we also struggled with finances. So sometimes we didn't have electricity, sometimes we didn't have water. So the last thing I was thinking about as a child was, oop, I didn't get the name brand shoes that I wanted. Or I didn't get the best Christmas gift ever. I was very grateful for anything that I got as a kid. And and grateful just to be in a home a lot of the time. So, and I know that my kids don't have the same struggles, and I'm so thankful. We've always been pretty stable enough that we're not moving constantly and we're not struggling the same way that we struggled as a kid. So, I am very, very thankful that it has not been that case for my kids. And I feel like I talked about in last video last week, the things that I say to myself in my head and how I am just my own worst critic. And I feel like that's pretty normal for a lot of people. I think through all of these things, I have learned that objects are not important, but what's important is the people and your family. That's what's important. And filling your house with objects is not important. So if you feel, or if social media makes you feel like your house isn't big enough or pretty enough, or if you don't have the right throw pillows, or if you don't feel like you have all the decorations every holiday, I hope that you don't feel that way. I hope that if it's more of a hassle and it's more of a burden for you, but if you enjoy it and if you have the money for it, go for it. But if you're like us, where it's more, or me, that is more of a hassle and more of a not enjoyment, you're in the right place. But yeah, here we're moving into Londa's room. Look, another mess, but it's okay. I'm gonna tackle it and I'm going to get to where I declutter more of her toys so that it doesn't get so bad. So I'm gonna declutter a little bit here, but one of these days I will find it in my heart to declutter even more. I'm afraid of getting rid of too much that she wants and she likes. Uh, but you know, kids play better when there's less stuff. But anywho, you're just gonna watch me tackle all of this and kind of organize it, and then I put some things away in this big container that I have in the top of the closet with extra toys that I keep in there just in case. That's kind of like before I really get rid of it. I try to make sure there's nothing that she really wants or comes looking for. So anyway, being my own worst critic, and I feel like that's normal for a lot of people, but for me, it's kind of always beating myself up for the things that I didn't do or that I did as a mother, or the things that I didn't get accomplished that day, or like I said, or even having a messy house, or if I'm always worried if somebody comes over and it's not spotless. But as I've gotten older, it has gotten a lot better. I think making a conscious decision of saying that it's okay and I that doesn't equal love, and if people only love me for how good I can be or how perfect I can be, then that's not love and I don't need them in my life anyway. So getting older and having these epiphanies and realizations have helped me so much with these thoughts of not being good enough or pretty enough or skinny enough or smart enough or well adjusted enough or have being the best wife or being the best mother. And I beat myself up about these things every day, and then I have to stop myself because it used to be so intense. But now that I've gotten older, I stop myself and I say, as long as you're trying, and when you fail, you apologize to the people that you love the most, and we try to work on these things. For me, failing is just, really failing is not necessarily keeping a messy house or not having a clean house or a perfect house. That's not really failing to me. To me, really, now that I'm older, failing is more if I lost it that day, if I lost my patience with the kids, if I yelled, or if I'm not being presenting to my kids and playing with them and being nice and as kind as I can, but also being their friend and also helping them where I can and being patient. And those things are so hard. I think overall, in general, being a mother can be very challenging, but especially when you have past traumas that make having patience very, very difficult because you're stressed and there is a trauma response when you feel like you're not being perfect and when you feel like your house isn't being perfect or your kids aren't being perfect. And I've had to really let my expectations of what perfect means go. And that has been a challenging thing because I'm still working on that and saying that there is no such thing as perfect. We are who we are, and we all struggle, and we all just try our best. And that's all we can expect from one another, and treat ourselves the way we would treat others. And I feel like I treat others so much better with so much more leniency than I do myself. And I don't know why. I guess I do. I guess I do know why. I think that's normal, and then I also think that's a trauma response.
I want this one, and I want my present.
Oh, really? Your presents?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is set on my present.
Oh my goodness. Are you looking at the book and figuring out what you want?
I want a Barbie house.
A Barbie house?
I want a Barbie shoe. And I want a Barbie shoe. A big, I want a Marshall. I want a truck.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay. Go show me in the book. Okay. So, yeah, basically growing up, I was always trying to be perfect and be quiet and not draw attention to myself and only speak when spoken to. Um, but now that I'm older, you would never know that about me anymore. I used to be very much a people pleaser because that's what I thought equaled love, and it is not. People are not going to love you uh just because you're perfect and you're doing everything you can do for them. And if they do, then that means they're not right. So you don't need people in your life that makes you feel like if you're not perfect, then they can't love you. And if you have people like that in your life, then that is definitely not a healthy relationship. I really struggled with understanding all of that, but let me tell you, hitting my 30s, once I started to really understand all of these things and know better, it has changed me so much. And then I got tattoos, I got pink hair. I did all the things that the childhood me never felt like she could do. So, yeah, I was always afraid of not being what everybody wanted me to be because I was afraid of not being loved. And that is not okay. And I need to learn how to love myself, just as you guys. If you were right here sitting in front of me, I would tell you love yourself before anything else and learn to love yourself more than anyone else, well, other than your children. I think I've said this before, but you like I've learned to be the person that I always needed as a child. So, if you were here right in front of me, I would say be the person that you needed as a child, and don't feel obligated or like you're not doing something right if your home isn't perfectly decorated or if you're spending money for things that you don't really need, like the designer shoes, the designer clothes, because you think that that's what the world wants you to what's the world wants you to be and look like. If you're worried about your weight, just know that you're beautiful no matter what, because I wish I had somebody telling me those things. And I tell my kids this every day. You're beautiful no matter what. You're beautiful no matter what weight you are. You are special and loved. And if you leave my channel, I hope you leave my channel feeling special and loved, and realizing that you don't have to compare yourself to anything or anyone, and you don't need objects or material things to be happy or to be special and beautiful. You are special and beautiful just the way you are. And here in a second, we will be going into Tristan's room and seeing if I was right or if he was right about the computer and the computer monitor. And I promise that I will not gloat if I'm right. So let's get into that soon because it is definitely fun. Find that cord, you can hook up 2 monitors though.
Because it has 2 computers now.
No, it's just 2 monitors.
Oh.
This is heavy.
Purple.
Hey, there's cords. Don't lose all the cords.
Whoa.
That looks like a tiny TV.
Let's hold it up to the camera. Let's look at it.
It looks like a tiny TV.
Monitor. Yeah, it's smaller, like I told you. And you didn't believe me. I am never right according to you, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, he loves it. It's what he paid for with his own money, so he absolutely was excited about it. We are going to get him a cord that he can link both monitors up. He says he knows how to do that. Do I know how to do that? No, but hopefully he is right and he's correct. Also, if you made it this far, please leave a emoji, maybe a sun, to let me know that you made it this far. I really enjoy seeing everybody who made it to the very end. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.